Well, there we are. Whoa. Wow. For a minute there, I thought we were going to be blank. And Dad is on his way. But I hope
Hello.
hope you're having a good day so far. Let's see who is in here with us today.
There
Let's
go
see.
my buddy, Sister
Connie.
Connie.
Connie's the early bird today.
Yes, Connie
Hey,
is hungry.
Connie. Connie must be hungry. And
Yes.
then here comes Vincent. Vincent.
What's up, Vincent?
Hey, we're talking again about the atmosphere of change. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
It's not pretty right now, is it?
No, it's not.
It is not pretty right now. But we know a secret.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, the secret is we know who we are and we know who that we is. That's the thing. We were talking last night, and it's so good to see you, Pastor Norman. We
So good to see you, Mom.
yeah, we were talking last night, and I thought, man, we should have been online then.
Hey, we got to start being more spontaneous.
We gotta be impromptu. Yes, we do. We gotta learn to hurry up, get to the camera right quick when we do that. Because
Yes, yes, yes.
that was such a good conversation. But we started off, and I was complimenting you on the message you had from Sunday, which was
Mm-hmm.
about the
Prophetic
prophetic
forecasting.
forecasting. Yeah, that was intriguing. That was very intriguing, and I didn't get to hear the whole thing, but I
Okay.
thought, man, that was worth listening to.
All right.
And
I think that's very, very relevant, especially to our focus on how to deal with the atmosphere of change.
yep,
And
yep.
I think I could build off of it. If you want to go that direction, I can build off of it because I want to read something to everybody.
Yeah, I think and Vincent said we get the notifications, so when we go live, we should just do it, and that's true. The only thing I'm never close to a camera when we get those great conversations, so I've got to somehow get in the mode of having a camera with us at all times
Mm-hmm.
because I don't use my
Or
phone.
set up a studio in the house and run to it very quickly.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I got a studio here at the house, so I could do that. I could
Mm-hmm.
do that now
Yeah,
because
let's do it.
we may have to do that because you and I have some great conversations most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he said he enjoyed the service too on Sunday. That was a great word, but he left me in suspense, Vincent, because he was talking about he was going to tell us something.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think now are you still doing your Friday night?
Well, you mentioned earlier concerning all that's going on right
Mhm.
now, especially with this rapid spread of the Omicron virus. And so, again, Apostle Dr. Vandross, which is, one of my early childhood mentors, we were supposed to bring both our churches together. We was going to have a New Year's Eve
Mhm.
celebration on tomorrow night at 10 that night. And after we had got together and talked on yesterday and day before, trying to see how we was going to navigate. So we was kind of just watching everything.
Yeah.
And so we made a decision on yesterday because after every time we would talk, I would get a text message or a call concerning somebody contracting a virus. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
based off of that, our first thing that we wanted to do was make sure that we keep everybody safe. So it was only common sense for us to go ahead and cancel the New Year's Eve service because we know that when Word in Life and Bold Ministries get together, it is packed. It's standing room only. And so, with all that's going on and how easy it is for the Omicron virus to transmit from one person to another, because they say it's more
More
transmittable,
contagious. Yeah.
contagious than the other two. And
Mhm.
so we decided to just do virtual on
Yeah.
tomorrow. So for
Mhm.
everyone that's watching and hadn't heard that we made a decision not to have the corporate worship on tomorrow night for the New Year's Eve service, Apostle Vandross and myself, along with his praise team, we're going to do a virtual broadcast on tomorrow at 10.
And
And so,
that'll be aired. Will that be aired on Facebook or
yes, it
YouTube?
will be. It will be aired on Facebook. You can connect to Norman Armstrong Ministries Facebook page, and I believe they also, because the guys are going to come later on this evening, and they're going to set it up for a studio effect. So whatever platforms that they have as well. So you'll be able to connect on both platforms on tomorrow night.
Okay, now are you going to be? And hello, I'm
Hello.
glad you
What's up,
Hello,
joined
Dan?
us.
everybody.
I'm glad you joined us. And hey, Lady Gwen, I'm glad you're here
Good to
with
see
us.
everybody
And my
online.
sissy and Majori, I am so glad you guys are here. So that means that we'll get a chance to at least hear what you're going to say about that prophetic forecasting.
I'll give a little taste today.
I thought it was really, really interesting. I did, and it made me started to do some research, and I found out that in order to do a forecast, you have to watch the patterns, and in watching the patterns, that's how you make a prediction. So
Exactly.
it's not so much. It's not so much they're saying when they do the weather, it's not so much that they're saying this is absolutely what's going to happen, but they're saying this is potentially what can happen
Can
based on the patterns.
can I read a scripture that ties in with that?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Um, I want to read, and I'm gonna read it from the Amplified version. It's Luke chapter 12, beginning at verse 54, and we'll
Mhm.
read up to verse 56, just three verses. Again, Luke chapter 12, verses 54 through 56, and it reads, He also said to the crowds, when you see a cloud rising in the west, you immediately say it is going to rain.
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
is how it turns out. And when you see that a south wind is blowing, you say it will be a hot day, and it happens. You
mm-hmm.
hypocrites, play actors, pretenders, you know how to analyze and intelligently interpret the appearance of the earth and sky to forecast the weather. But why do you not intelligently interpret this present time?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, you made me think about when I was a kid. My dad, oh man, he's told me so many things. But he also taught me how to hear certain things in a car to let me know if something was going bad. So I
Mhm.
know certain sounds. I know the sound of an alternator burning out. I know the, I know the sounds of different things. So he taught me how to forecast in that area. And he also taught me that if you see a ring around the moon, that's moisture around the moon, which means we're getting ready to get either some rain or some wintry weather. Okay.
Mhm.
He also taught me that when you see the cumulus clouds in the sky and the temperature is below freezing, you're gonna have some snow or
Mhm.
sleet. And he also taught me that if those cumulus clouds were thin, then that means it wasn't going to be snow, it was going to be some ice. So he taught me all that. And he taught me when it's going to rain. He said the trees, the leaves will turn upward and face backwards. You can see the backside of the leaves. And
Mhm.
it always is true. And
Exactly.
so there are ways to forecast. And
Exactly.
in this atmosphere of change is what we were talking about last night. Is a lot of businesses, and we started talking about churches because we're all pastors, and so that's what's forefront in the forefront of our minds. But the brick and the mortar, I was saying earlier last night that I think the glory days are gone for brick and mortar, not just churches, but I think businesses, because some businesses had predicted that they were going to open up Labor Day,
Exactly.
and then Delta hit and they
Mhm.
weren't able to do it. So looking at the forecast of the pattern, I think this virus, all the other viruses that's going to come after, it's not going to go away. And I think we are now in a season of having to adapt.
Exactly.
And you said it, it's the adapting to thrive and not just survive.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And so, even what you just shared and what we just read, that is one of the things that the challenge that we're all dealing with. Every last one of us, from the head leaders in government on all the way down to the
Mm-hmm.
average, Joe. And so we have not spent enough time in the midst of all this stillness to discern and to see the patterns, like you were saying. I mean, one of the things that I was taught, especially after I had some athletic injuries, like breaking of the bones or whatever, that when that area where you broke that bone start aching, then they said, "Oh, it's going to rain." Never
Yeah,
had that situation, but
yeah,
that's what I heard. All right.
yeah, yeah.
But
And it's true. I've had, and it has, and not every time, but it's when the magnetic field changes
mhm,
in the atmosphere, it does. It makes the bones ache. If
yep.
it's ever been broken, it will ache.
And
Yeah.
so even in that translation of Luke chapter 12 verses 54 to 56, the word that stands out other than forecasting, the word intelligently.
Mm-hmm.
Interpret it, and I think that is why even what dealing with the virus and how we hear one report one moment and then a different report the next
Yeah.
moment,
Yeah.
and it's because they're not sitting down actually discerning the data or interpreting the data that they're getting. They're thinking about big business, they're thinking about the economy, they're letting other
Mm-hmm.
emotional
Mm-hmm.
things
Mm-hmm.
interfere with them giving a correct forecast. Because like
Yeah.
right now, they know when the numbers are hitting the way that they are right now, and even though it has not been as many people being hospitalized, but one of the numbers that they're concerned about is that the children are
Yeah.
being hospitalized at a greater rate than when the Delta variant came in
That's right.
September.
That's right.
And so for them to continue to focus more on the economy than the people safety, then
Mm-hmm.
that's telling us that you're giving us bad information and therefore you're missing the forecast. Just like a weatherman, if
Mm-hmm.
they sit down, they look at all the data that their machines and technology is giving them, they interpret what they see and then they make their prediction. And
Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
may say, and normally they give a 7-day forecast. It's going to be sunny for the next 7 days, so you don't have to worry about nothing so forth. But then we walk outside, it's storming. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
you gave me a bad information that caused me not to make the proper adjustment
And
to deal with the weather.
that's what the forecasting is for, so that you
Exactly.
can make a calculated decision about what to do in the future or what to do now in order to prepare for the future. So it's like every business now, and I think every one of you who are listening to us, if you're in the business of however you make your money, you're in the business of making your money.
Mhm.
Um, you may not be an entrepreneur, but you're in the business of making your money. So I'm thinking that there's got to be a way for us to all become more innovative and think out of the box.
Exactly.
Because what has been maybe successful in the past and worked well, it may not work in our future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you said that because one of the things that I have been doing and researching on, and sometimes this stuff people need to understand it's going to take time. All right. It's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be an overnight thing. So you have to be patient. But one of the things I've been doing, I've been going back researching times where our country dealt with an epidemic before.
Yes.
See,
Yes.
everyone need to
Yes. Yes.
realize this
Yes.
ain't the first time we ever dealt with an epidemic
Mm-mm.
in the
Mm-mm.
history of our nation. And
Right.
so I looked at what businesses actually thrived during that time. I
Okay.
also researched during wartime situations what companies thrived during that time. And of course,
Mhm.
that was during the area, especially World War I and World War II, where industry manufacturing was the big thing. And it was
Yes.
because they were developing all of the machinery and weapons that was needed for war. And so all
Mhm.
those that was able to discern what was going on to intelligently interpret, they started investing in
Yes.
those industries and
Yes.
they became wealthy.
Yes.
And also in a time of depression, we always have economic depressions that we go through, but there are companies that still yet thrive even in the
Yes.
midst of that. And
Yes.
now we're in the pandemic, and of course I shared last week, the week I think about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I'm watching CNN and they give the report concerning billionaires increased in wealth by 70% in the midst of this pandemic while other people hit
Mhm.
poverty level.
Mhm.
Why
Mhm.
is that? Because
Mhm.
they are interpreting
Mhm.
everything that's going on and they're making their adjustments
Yes.
and they know where to invest their money.
Yes. And I've noticed when you and I talked about watching the show, and you guys, any of you who have entrepreneurial spirit at all, you need to look at that undercover billionaire show. It's I told Norman last night, I said, I wish I had been mentored by at least one of those billionaires.
I know I wish I had.
Because they were the one that I watched, the season that I watched, it was right during the time that everything was going through the pandemic. And I've got to go back and see the season that you watched. But they were so determined. And the one thing that I saw in all of them is that they had this insatiable belief in their own capability, what
Exactly.
they knew they could do. And the one that I was very impressed with, she would hit a snag where things would just completely, a door would just slam shut in her face. They had 90 days to come up with $1 million business. And the doors was slamming in her face every time she tried to do something. But she would get so frustrated that she'd have to walk and just fuss at herself and scream or whatever she had to do to get that frustration out. And then she let the frustration go immediately to get an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens to a lot of us is we hold on to the frustration, and then we block the wisdom to come through from our pure self. And that wisdom cannot come through while we're looking backwards,
Nope.
while we're looking at the impossibility of it. None of the ideas can come through if that's what's in your mind.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's
And
good
now,
that you said that, because
yeah,
Napoleon Hill made the statement, money is just an idea. So if you could come up with an idea and you work behind that idea, just having an idea is
look,
not going to make you wealthy. You got to still yet do something.
I've
All
had
right.
money making ideas, and I didn't
I
know
know
what to
I
do
have.
with them. And then I look back and I say, man, I could have been a millionaire. How about they now have flavored beers, right?
Yep.
This
Yep.
way back in the day when I was partying hard and clubbing, I didn't like beer. So I would take Mountain Dew and mix it with my beer in order to drink.
Look at
I could
that.
have been a millionaire.
You sure could have.
They're doing it now. And
There,
so
there.
we've all had money making ideas, but we didn't know how to act on them.
Exactly. And I know for me, I've had so many ideas that later on down the road, someone did exactly the thing that came to my mind and they became an overnight success. And I mean, some of the most um, weirdest or unusual ideas, but they stepped out on it. And so
Yeah,
that's why I
yeah.
want everyone to understand as well. Just because you have an idea, it's not going to bring you to the place of gaining wealth unless you act upon it. We know the scriptures, faith without
Mhm,
works is
mhm,
dead.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so some of us, we got to take that step. And I know for me, like we was talking about last night, one of the things that happens with me, because I am such a thinker, I have so many different ideas and passions at one time, to the point that I'm being pulled in so many different
Yeah, you're going
directions
to,
and
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know what to do. So I end up becoming complacent and stagnant, which what I
Mhm.
need to do is focus on at least one and apply my energy to it and see what happens.
Now see this one right here. He's got all this. He's got all this ingenuity in him, and he's always doing projects, making hats, and the hats would absolutely sell. I know they would. And he's making pants, and he's made tractors out of wood that are functional.
Oh
That's
yes, those
yeah.
things
I
are
mean,
gorgeous.
he's done so many things that are money making ideas, but knowing to how to put it out there for it to make money. And I don't want to just talk about money, but I remember there was one person that said this: God's currency is ideas.
Exactly.
A lot of us are
Exactly.
praying for God to give us a blessing, and we want it to come as money, dollar bills or checks or whatever. And the way it comes most of the time is through an idea.
Exactly. And I like the word that you use, currency, because the gentleman that I was watching on the season of Undercover Billionaire, that was one of his steps. One of his steps was to identify human currency. And notice when I say
Mm-hmm.
human currency, which
Mm-hmm.
means that just like with Bishop, if Bishop, he was a creator, and like I said, and I'm not exaggerating, that was an awesome thing to see the machines and stuff that he would build out of
Yes,
wood. I mean,
yes,
those things
yes,
were phenomenal. But
yeah.
now to take it to the next level, you now have to surround yourself with
Mm-hmm.
people that are smarter in different
There
areas
you
than
go.
you are, like marketing and
Mm-hmm.
advertising, and
Mm-hmm.
even now social media is real big. One of the young ladies that's a member of my church, she goes to the University of Alabama. She's finishing up her senior year, and she took a class concerning social media. And when she was sharing, I was like, "Oh my God!" Now I'm 54 years old. She a kid, but I'm saying she knows this stuff. So I said, "Look, I have to have a meeting with you eh,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can help me take what I'm doing to the next level."
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
forth. And people hear me say it all the time. I'm not a singer, I'm not a musician, but one gift that I used to be embarrassed when people would say it to me, when I caught the revelation of what it means to be gifted in certain areas, I have the gift of gab. And so I tell people all the time, it's going to
You
be
know
my
that's what
mouth.
that's what makes an evangelist a good evangelist. They got a
Exactly.
gift
And
there.
that's why I tell people it's going to be my mouth and my ability to communicate ideas that's going to build wealth for me.
Exactly. Now, Vincent said this: Jesus did that very thing with the disciples. Jesus knew that after his death, his word would be the most valuable thing to your spirit. And then
Yeah.
he says this: he would perform miracles, then break it down for the disciples at dinner. I like that,
Now,
Vincent.
I love what he says about miracles, but see, that's another thing that the church has not been able to discern.
Mm-hmm.
We get
Mm-hmm.
caught up on the manifestations of miracles, but we must understand everything has a purpose. So I've studied the purpose behind miracles.
Yeah.
It's not always just to create a miracle. We see someone heal or legs grow out, whatever. That is to show everyone the awesomeness of God, that He is real, that we are one with Him, that we are able to we have been graced with abilities to draw people closer to Him, so that they will not walk around in this false identity or this illusion that the
Mm-hmm.
world is painting for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
Mm-hmm.
tell people, you got to understand, we can't just jump up and down and say, wow, oh my God, look at that miracle. No, you have to understand there is a purpose. It is used to attract.
Yeah. Lately, I have been the phrase that keeps going through me is "Ye are gods." And that's said in
Psalms 82.
Psalms 80, yeah, 82.
Yeah.
And so it says, "Ye are gods," and Jesus he quoted that same passage in the New Testament. "Ye are gods," and it says that we are. When I think of myself as a god, even if with a little g, I think, well, man, there's a whole lot of potential here that I haven't even tapped into.
Exactly.
And I believe that this is what we're supposed to tap into in these lifetimes. That we're not supposed to just live our whole lives without ever tapping into that potential that we are. And I know a lot of times, especially here in the West, now we are focused a lot on mental or creating with the mind. And I want to read something to you if I can, and then we can. I'm going to shut up, let you say something if you want to.
Okay.
And this is in the book about by Joel Goldsmith, Awakening Mystical Consciousness. Again, that's what it is there. And so this particular chapter is about mystics and healing, but it also is applicable to any area of your life. So I want to read it just quickly, just a little bit of it. All right, it says, all we need is the same assurance that David had in the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He did not ask for any God power. He merely acknowledged. That's the first thing. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. It doesn't say a word about my part or my practitioner's part. It just says, he maketh me to lie down in green pastures. What the psalmist was doing was contemplating God's goodness within himself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have been contemplating God as God is functioning in the universe. You have not asked God for any help, and you certainly have not accepted any belief that God needs your help. You have just sat here contemplating the isness of God and of God's creation. Now, this is what I really wanted to get to. You do not make affirmations to make the isness of God true.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
That's
what we've seen in the West particularly is to try to affirm our way and make it happen.
mm-hmm.
Confess it and make it happen. That is not how it happens. You do not make affirmations to make the isness of God true. An affirmation is a statement of what is. But
Mm-hmm.
anytime you use an affirmation in the hope of making it come true, you are going to get nowhere spiritually. You may accomplish something mentally, but that is different from healing or spiritual healing. In spiritual healing, you do not address the consciousness of a patient. So even in our own lives, we don't address the consciousness that's here. You do not make a statement of truth to make it come true. If you do, you prevent yourself from doing the work.
Exactly.
You should only make statements of truth of what you already know to be the truth, and then rest in that truth.
And I like that last part, rest in that truth.
Yes,
And
yes,
especially like you said, in this particular region, the Western world, we always seeking for endorsement and validation.
yes,
We
right,
always got seen like we
yes,
have to prove something to someone. And I discovered that if I get caught in that mindset of always looking for endorsement, looking for approval, looking for validation, then I'm having a situation with dealing with my self-esteem.
yes. So it's all about that self-concept again, which goes back to the validity and the benefit and significance of finding out who you are. That's key. There was the one thing I realized about those undercover billionaires. They knew exactly who they were in that area of business. They knew.
And you know what I like about that show? The whole concept. They take these people who have proven, quote
Mhm,
unquote, the
mhm.
American dream, like they say.
Yeah.
And the gentleman I was watching and the others, they would, it's like a game, a bet
Mhm.
that they could do this in 90 days. But
Right.
what's so awesome about it is they take on another identity because
Yeah.
they know
Yeah.
if the people know who they are, recognize who they are, then of course those
Mhm,
doors will open up because of who they are. So they take on this identity where no one knows who they are or what they
mhm,
accomplished.
mhm.
They're given $100. But the part that gets me, mom and dad, is this: they don't have no idea where the people are going to put them.
That's right.
What city, what state, whether it be
Yeah.
a city or
Yeah.
rural area, they have no idea
Right.
where they're going to be placed. And so
Right.
that showed me something. One of the things that we learned in business school, especially in marketing, dealt with location. Location oftentimes always matter. But in this case, not so.
It
They
didn't.
were able to be placed anywhere in the nation and
Mhm,
take the same steps that they used before
mhm,
and what?
mhm.
Accomplish making those millions of dollars in 90 days. So I don't have
Good.
to wait for a long period of time to be a millionaire. I could do it in 90 days.
Right. So it came because they were sure of who they are in that area of business. They were absolutely fixed. One of them, I remember he said this. He said, "Man, I'm playing this character, but I know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing this character, and why can't I do what I know I can do?" Because he was hitting all these snags. but he had to regroup. And at one point, he actually said, "I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing it no more," because he fell into the character and started to
Exactly.
believe that the character didn't have the power to do it. But he then had to regroup overnight. He regrouped, came back to himself, and that's the key. He came back to himself, got up, and found a way to do it.
Ma, you said something so profound. So you just gave the answer for anyone that want to know why is it that I'm not experiencing quote unquote the success like other people is because you have not discovered who you are. Like
That's
you said,
that's
these people
exactly
know
what
who
I'm
they
saying.
are. So it's no one or nothing holding us back but us. If
Yes,
we keep buying into this illusion and buying into this false identity that we keep catering to, you are allowing yourself to
yeah,
not walk in the success
yeah,
that has
yeah,
been afforded to everyone. It's when
yeah,
you wake up and you begin to be who you are.
yeah. Because
Not
he's
trying to be a
yeah,
copycat. Be
yeah,
you.
yeah. Because he came to himself. He said, "I'm." He said his name was I'm Grant. Somebody. He said, I'm
Mhm.
Grant." He said, "I'm not this character. I'm Grant." And that's when he pulled himself together and went out there and did it. So it's all about being sure of who you are. And uh I don't want people to get stuck in. I know we had the movie called The Secret, and we've had so many books about creating with the mind. And I know that that's valuable, and it is actually that you can do those things. But when you are on a spiritual journey and bypassing the mind, in most cases, you may hit a place where you can't use the mind in order to get ahead,
Exactly.
because the mind is what's on the table that you're being disengaged from.
Mhm.
And so when we try to go back and engage the mind to live to get what we want manifested, that's when we hit a problem, and it never really works, and we find ourselves going around and around the mulberry bush.
Guess what? For all the Matrix lovers, that's what happened to Neil. He kept going back and forth, engaging
Yes,
in the mind. Remember, even when Morpheus had took him to the Oracle, and this is the first
in the
Matrix.
first one. Uh-huh.
Morpheus took him to the Oracle, and remember, the Oracle in a funny way checked her out. Come here, let me look behind your ear, let me do all this. And she said, "You're not the one."
I know.
And so
And up
when
on
they
the
was
doorpost was "Know thyself."
exactly, and so when Neil was getting ready to tell Morpheus what the Oracle said, he stopped him.
Uh-huh.
He said, "I don't need to hear what the Oracle said. She
It was
told you what
just
you
for
needed
you.
to hear at
Hmm.
that moment."
Hmm. That's right. That's
At
right.
that moment, and so he was one that was going back and forth,
And you
not
remember,
accepting who he really was, and having a
yeah,
conflict with his mind.
yeah.
Yep.
You remember, there was a place in the movie when Morpheus looked and was watching him, and he said he's starting to believe
Uh-huh.
that he's the one. Hmm.
Hmm.
So I think that's what's happening to all of us. We're starting to believe that we're the one, and it hadn't really gotten fixed there yet, but that's
Hmm.
what we're headed to. And I want to put up what Vincent said. You okay? You sleep back here?
No, I'm just listening.
He's listening. Vincent said, "That's us as spirit coming to earth." What you just said, we are the undercover billionaires. Yes, that's true.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
sir. We
true.
all have that potential.
We are, and it's not about money so much as it is finding the fulfillment by reaching the potential that you have inside of you. Somebody said, "Don't die with the music stuck inside of you."
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
and I think that's the key. We don't want to die with the music still stuck inside.
Can I throw this out there to help someone out? Um, I've been here before in this place of awakening. Um, but I noticed something, and I can't say what, because I'm far beyond the thing of putting everything on the devil and the enemy and so forth and
Yeah.
so on.
Yeah.
But I remember being in this place of awakening before, and everything, it seemed like if I thought of something, it came. It was being done. It was a being attracted where I didn't, no effort, no trying to seek
Mhm,
whatever. I mean,
mhm,
just an idea
mhm,
would come and
mhm, mhm.
boom, it would manifest. And I got to this place of such peace. And then I don't know if I could say this on. I ain't gonna say it. I'm gonna say this word. My mom ain't gonna choke me. But then all of a sudden, when I got to that place, and even the people here at the church, they was wanting me to do the schooling, I was going to entitle it the School of Awakening, and
Mhm.
they was just loving it from because I was doing it in the school of ministry, and I came to this place of such awareness, such peace, such oneness, not operating in dualism, defeated the religious concept, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, all Hades broke out in my life. All
Yeah,
I mean, all
yeah, yeah,
Hades
yeah.
broke out in my life.
And you said, I think we put
He
him to
would have said
sleep.
it, but
We put him to sleep. He said this last night that a lot of the upheaval comes from our awakening.
hmm
It really doesn't. I think there's a scripture for that. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, it is. I'm
why
gonna
are
look.
you looking for that scripture? And so when that happened to me, because of the hurt, the pain, the brokenness, it brought me back to my false identity,
Yeah, I hear you.
and I bought into that, and so it took another journey for me again to discover who I really am. And so now because I was able to identify what had happened, now when the upheavals come and when all the different things happen, now all I do is like with Bishop, observe it. Just
Yes,
observe it. Don't buy into it. Don't allow it to cause you to act out of character or out of oneself.
yes, yes. So what I don't know where that scripture is. I'll have to look for it later.
What was it about?
It was about after you were enlightened,
Yo,
there came a great affliction.
That
yeah.
is that's in the book of Hebrews.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and I just don't know exactly where. But yes, that 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 is actually what happens. Oh, here it is. It doesn't say enlightened. It says, but call to remember. That's in Hebrews 10 and 32.
mm-hmm.
But call to remember the former days in which, after you were illuminated, you endured
Yes.
a great fight of afflictions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is one phase that happens. And I think it's because, and I always call it the near death experience of the mind, because the mind is being dissolved in its leadership role.
Mm-hmm.
And so it begins to kick up resistance. And so I said to him today, and we were in a Jeep and I was making running some errands, that we, as the pure self, the essence that we are the deliverers of the mind. We're the deliverers and the mentors of the mind. So it's my purest part of me, my essence, the essence that I am, that is the God self, that teaches the mind
Mm-hmm.
and gives the mind understanding so that it will not continue to resist us. But then, like you said, there are other energies outside that will also join in to try to bring the afflictions.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to share that with someone because I'm at a place when we talked about this, the personal ministry one-on-one sessions with people, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm mentoring a lot of people, but I'm trying to teach them again the process of awakening and living and enjoying their life, just being who they are, and so forth and so on, and not get caught up in what I got caught up in, the imprisonment again of people's perceptions, opinions, and expectations, and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. And
Mm-hmm.
I want people to
Mm-hmm.
understand that when those certain, and I use the word attacks, when those certain attacks come from individuals, realize that it's because they themselves don't know who they are.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, I want to address something that Buzz, hey, Buzz, I'm glad you're with us today. He said, I don't mean to put myself down, but I don't believe I have any skills.
Yes, yes, you do.
Well,
Yes, you do.
good
Yes, you
thing,
do.
good thing that's just a belief.
Yes, hey, he is
Because,
full of potential.
and this is where Byron Katie would say, is that absolutely true that you have no skills? And then answer the question specifically with a yes or a no. Is it absolutely true that you have no skills?
That's a good question.
Question the thought, because something is telling you that you have no skills.
And I want to help him.
Go
I've
ahead.
been I've been there. I right that statement he made, I've been there in the church. In
Yeah.
the church,
Yeah.
I've been there because again, it's human nature for us to compare ourselves to others who we
Yes.
perceive to be successful in ministry, especially when the mega
Yes.
churches started coming up. And I would sit there and watch these guys and women, and they're preaching nothing different than what I've been exact word for. Sometimes I feel like they're watching me taking my stuff and building on it. And
Yeah.
literally, I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, literally,
Yeah.
I'm like, I just preached that last month, and now
Yeah.
you're preaching it now.
Yeah.
And so I had that question: why am I not being successful as them? Why I'm not being a millionaire and they got all this stuff going on? Well, first of all, we have to understand what got them where they were was more than just ministry and their message into
There
the
you
people.
go.
They had a marketing team behind them.
There you go.
See, we forget about the business
They
side
had it.
behind
They
all of
had
that.
it. Yeah, they had an image builder behind them.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. And so they got on the concept of branding
Mm-hmm.
where that was not my interest. And so
Mm-hmm.
I went down that road. I'm like, I'm looking at some preachers who can sing. I'm looking at some preachers who can play. I'm looking at all these different things. And I'm like, God, why you call me? Why am I a preacher? I don't have all those abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord had me to ask myself that exact question.
Yeah.
Why you sitting there acting like you don't have no skills?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
stop trying to be someone I did not create you to be.
Now you may not know what your skills are,
Exactly.
but you do have some skills.
Exactly.
So it's important that you do what my husband calls excavate. Dig until you find that part that you know has skills. And there's a scripture for that where it says, dig in the wall until the door appears.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes, and every man has within him, this is a scripture as well, a chamber of imagery. There's a movie house, a movie theater inside every person.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever's playing on that screen, we either believe it or we don't.
Exactly. And
And
we talked about that last night
yeah. So
when we
if what's playing on that screen is a me that doesn't have any skills, then and I believe it, then it'll
Mhm.
be true, because whatever I believe in my heart will be true for me.
Exactly.
That's that internal dialogue again we were talking about, that the woman with the issue of blood had. She had an internal dialogue that said, I think if I touch that man's him, I'm gonna be made whole. That was her
Mm-hmm.
power. Her internal dialogue was her power.
And what's funny, people, even in interpretation of that event, Jesus did not heal her.
No, he didn't.
That's what they don't
He
understand.
didn't.
He said, your faith. He didn't say my power, nothing. He said, your faith
Mhm.
drew out of me what you believed.
Yes, yes,
She
yes.
had said it to herself. But what I loved about that scripture was how the whole thing started out when it says, and she heard about Jesus. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have to be careful how and what we are hearing. Because if we're listening to all the doubters or all those that's trying to give us that image or that picture of ourselves, we'll buy into it, and then we'll get
Yes.
trapped into a realm or a dimension that someone else created rather than us creating our own worlds or our own universes. And so,
Yes.
so she heard, she made the decision, and she said to herself, that's what she said to herself, if I could just touch the hem of his garment,
Mhm.
I would be made whole.
Yes. Oliver, and I wanted to say what Vincent said as well. Let me jump over this a little bit. He says, so that was like my 2019. Then by mid to 2020, all of everything broke loose. And I understand what you're saying. Then he said, keeping the mind focused under the training of the inner self. Yes.
Mhm.
And then Oliver, hey, Ollie, I'm glad you're on here. He says, can you explain other energies that come from outside? Are they formless energies? That's a big question, especially for those of us who've been in Christian religion, because the majority of us who've been in the evangelical church have believed for years that there were entities that were dark, called demons, that were working against us 24/7. I no longer believe that. I now know that the blocks that are coming to me as other energies, even outside myself, is coming because of the way I have interpreted myself. So I know now that those other energies, while they do exist, they are still illusory.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
They're
And
real as illusions.
and
Yes,
and and to further help them understand, remember, and we learned this in science and physics, energy is never lost.
never.
It
That's
just
right.
takes on different shapes and form. I mean,
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
like H2O, you have the
yeah.
liquid form, you have
Mhm.
the gaseous form, and you have what? The solid form, which we call ice, and
Yeah.
so forth. It just changes shapes, forms, but you, based off of what you're creating for yourself, the universe you're creating, you're the one that's actually giving the form or the shape to
Mhm.
the illusion of the energy.
Mhm. So there are malevolent energies or forces, and there are benevolent energies and forces. None of them have power to overcome us. That's the main thing that we have to remember.
Exactly. And one thing I want to help people to understand, we have to realize, even with scripture, the Bible, and all the thousands of translations now,
Mhm, mhm,
we
mhm,
have to remember the language and their and how they was trying to describe things is going to be really totally different than where we are right now, because we have change. And again, we talked about that, living in the atmosphere of change.
yeah.
Change is inevitable, and so our
Mhm,
dialect, our descriptions, our language, all these things has evolved and changed. And so when we use certain terminology that's not accustomed to hearing, that we're hearing in the church, you got to remember they're still using the language of, and we have to be honest, the predominant text that has been
mhm,
used in
mhm.
the church around the world has been the King James language.
That's right. That's right. Every spiritual teacher that I've heard, that I've really listened to, not all, I don't know, I haven't listened to all, but the ones that resonate with me that I've listened to, that are not necessarily churched or Christian, have all said that there are energies that will work against you, but they are lords over dimensions. So when we are coming, when our consciousness is expanding, we are moving through dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
So while I may be very I may have transcended in this level of awareness that I'm in now, in order to get to the next level of awareness, I must transcend whatever that Lord of Karma has used as a guard to keep you from getting into that dimension. Does that make sense?
That makes a whole lot of sense, Ma.
So,
Um,
in my evolution, I'm moving through dimensions, and there are guards over those dimensions because there are energies that don't want you to evolve.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and you hit it right on the head. I'm looking at the comment Buzz put up because I want to help him with
This
that.
one, this
Yes.
one.
He said, I'm thinking of it as an asset that can potentially generate money, although we shouldn't focus on money if we want to be happy. And I understand that. To kind of help him understand, um, again, and y'all know this, y'all been there from almost like the beginning of my journey. Uh, I never was interested in quote unquote ministry, being a preacher. No, that was not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was real big in academics and athletics. And so again, my dream was not this. I'm just going to be honest. My dream was not this. But for some reason, no matter what I did, whether it be me joining a part of an organization, me going to the military, I've always been the one that was selected to be the leader, whether it been over a squad, a platoon. I
Mm.
go to college. I'm now the president, and Laverne remembers this. I was made the president of United Christian Fellowship. No matter what I tried to do, I tried to stay in the background, but I was always
Mhm.
pulled to the forefront, no matter where I went.
Me
Even when I
too.
went to
I
the
was
corner
always,
store, I was
yeah,
trying to be,
yeah,
irrelevant. And
yeah,
here he come pulling me out of the crowd and got me
yeah.
in trouble. That's your fault, Dad.
Mhm.
But anyway, when
Yeah, your fault.
I'm just teasing. When I got really involved in the church and the idea of Christianity and so forth, I began to thrive. Doors was opening up and so forth, but there
Mhm.
was still yet a part of me that was saying, this is not it. This is not all of it. And so I had trouble trying to really discover my potentials, my skills, my abilities, because I felt
Mhm.
like I was taken down a road that I did not desire.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so when I
Mm.
sat down and asked myself the question that you had mentioned to him before, again, I'm one. Again, we look at the mega preachers and stuff like that. And so, yeah, everybody want to be able to be financially set. Everybody, come on, it's human nature.
Sure,
We all
sure,
want to be
sure.
able not to worry about how we're going to pay our light bill, how we're going to do this.
Exactly. Yeah,
We could go
exactly.
do whatever we want to do and not
Mhm.
worry. So we all want to be there. So it's not so much about money, it's about achieving that level that,
Of
mom said earlier
freedom,
about
of,
fulfillment.
of freedom and fulfillment. Yes.
And I was there where I was making the nice money, living in a house on a golf course and all that. And then of course the event happened that caused me to almost lose everything. But
Mm-hmm.
in my journey coming back, I could no longer focus on money.
Right.
I'm a type of person. Money is never going to be my number one focus. Yes, I know it's needed to make exchange and so forth and so on. But what I'm in on the journey of is discovering again who I really am, so I can feel fulfilled.
Yeah,
I want to be fulfilled.
yeah, and on the show that we're talking about, the undercover billionaire, their focus was in their building building their $1 million business in 90 days was not about the money. Even though that was a facet of it, it wasn't the focus of it. They ended up helping people and helping people to raising people to a level where they could actually help themselves. And that was the focus. That was the thing that was the product that came out of them building that business in 90 days. They along the way lifted people to a point
There
where
you go.
they could do what they do. And
Mhm,
that's what this is all about. That's
mhm.
what this is all about, really.
And I want Vincent. I mean, well, not Vincent, Buzz. All you have to do is sit down because I had to do it. I had to separate myself from everything around me,
Mm-hmm.
people, their perceptions, their ideas, especially in the church
Yeah,
world,
yeah, yeah.
that they was constantly putting on me, projecting on me, and so
Mhm.
forth. And I had to ask myself this question: what do I love to do?
Exactly.
What is it that I could do each and every day when I wake up? Not making money is focus. You see what I'm saying? And I enjoy doing it. And
And,
so
and it
I've
may
been in
take
this
a
position.
while. It may take a while to discover that.
It did. It did.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be an overnight discovery.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier about Dad, he said dig deep. You know, you got to keep digging.
This one here would he get on a project. He don't have to have money for it.
No,
He enjoys doing it. There was a book that came out years ago, Russell Simmons wrote, called Do You.
oh, I remember that
Do
book.
You.
Yes,
And he was telling the young men and women who were coming up in the hip hop arena,
industry. Yeah,
that industry, that if when you lose the enjoyment of doing it, and money becomes your focus, you won't last.
nope, nope. And that's what I tell people now. See, I realize that part of my purpose or what I'm passionate about is I love to build other people. I love people.
And
I'm
that's
very
where,
sociable.
yeah,
I can talk your ears off. And like I said here recently, without any effort whatsoever, in an indirect way, I'm mentoring people who are dealing with some of the same challenges over the phone. And I'm on the phone with them sometime anywhere from 2 to 3 hours.
And I know our time is almost up, and you hadn't had a chance to say anything today, but I wanted to say to you too, Buzz, that whatever you have struggled through, that's what you can help other people with.
Exactly.
Vincent says this because those other energies aren't pertinent to the spirit in any charge, and that's true. And those other energies aren't really a concern. It's like a elephant being concerned with a flea, and that's no real concern. But then Linda says Jesus said something about not giving thought to what you eat or drink or wear. Yes, thank you,
Exactly.
Linda. Perhaps he
That's
meant
Matthew
speaking
chapter
of the
6.
separate self. Yes, thank you,
Matthew chapter
Linda.
6.
Thank you. Bring us back around, baby. Bring us back around.
Yeah, stop worrying about what you're going to eat on tomorrow, what you're going to wear. Give no thought for it. That's right.
But you know what we're talking about is living from the realm of love,
Exactly.
which is not money focused at all.
Mm-mm.
It's not money focused at
And I noticed something. If you focus on money, money runs away from you.
all. Exactly. Yeah.
If you make money your focus, guess what?
Yeah.
It runs away from you.
Runs away from you. Hey, Brandy, I'm glad you're on here, young lady. Yes. So this is a conversation that I think that we could continue. Like, what is wealth consciousness? What is the realm? How do we approach success from the realm of love? How do we do that? That would be a great subject.
Ma, I love that. I love that. We definitely need to expound from that.
Yes, we do. We do. It's the servitude that flips the switch, Vincent says. I love to learn and talk about the things that you guys talk about. Hey, man, me too.
There you go. There you go. Hey, that's why Facebook says share and like.
Oliver says, what would you love is the most empowering question you can ask yourself. Yes. You want to wrap it up?
The great peace that you are is here without arriving.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I like that.
That's good.
I love that.
Great peace is here without arriving. Great joy is here. Great seeing and knowing is here. Christ is what we are as the substance of God, and it does not have to arrive.
Yeah, that's good.
I love that, Dad. That means so if we never arrive, we need to enjoy the journey.
There's nothing to arrive from.
That's it. Enjoy the journey.
Because if God was the beginning and the end, then he's cut himself off.
Yes.
He's beyond that.
Yes.
Because there's not one area of this universe that he is not, so he does not have to arrive. The ideal of a coming is a finite ego thing that was developed from the sense world to give some sort of satisfaction to something that couldn't go any further than wanting something to happen. God does not have to happen anymore because he is the arriving already arrived,
Yes.
and he's here. You're waking up, but are you really asleep?
That's good.
Are you asleep?
Mm.
Are you walking in sleep? You'll never have to hear God again if you give up trying to hear him with words.
That's good. That's good.
God speaks
Yeah.
without words. And we got this thing in our crawl, in our thing, that God uses the word to create things. What if he never used words? He don't talk. He communicates. And if you were to investigate fully, all of you, into the awareness of communication, you would find out that God doesn't use words. Words just is a small fragment of something that the mind has to interpret vibrational frequencies to be. But beyond that, you are wordless.
You know what I just
making
realized?
things happen.
You know what I just realized? That the word is not language.
No,
Vibration.
it's sound and
It's not
vibration.
language. Yeah.
And you know what caused me to have that same thought? Because as he was talking, I thought about the first episode of the Will Smith documentary, Welcome to Earth.
Yeah.
And that guy who was blind.
Yes.
And he could hear stuff that Will could not hear.
He could see with his hearing.
Exactly. And so again, with our finite mind and our human nature, see, we're trying to use our human nature to describe divinity. Yes. And so how do we know that God spoke? You see what I'm saying? And the world was framed. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like you said, vibration, where the sound, how do we know how he expressed himself?
It wasn't with language.
All part of his all part of what he's thinking about.
Right. It wasn't with language. We do know that.
Exactly.
We do know that.
But you see, the trick is, the trap of the mind says, in the beginning was the word was with God, and the word was God.
The word was
okay,
God.
okay. Jesus didn't carry a book around with him. He was the book.
He was the word walking.
Now listen, he could stand here, and he is. I'm not saying much, because every time I get ready to say something, you get what's called feedback. And the feedback tells me there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
But there is something talking, and it's about his business.
Yeah.
But it is about his business in a way that we are getting acquainted to, and that is without sound. That's the same way Solomon's temple was created, without sound. Can you imagine taking this phone and laying it down on the book, and you can't hear anything, but there's a sound in there?
There is a sound.
Yes.
Now, I want you to tune. I want to, as old people you say, I want to tune you. I want to tune you to the sound. I want you to be tuned to the soundless, noiseless sounds.
Yeah.
My puppy talked to me. She looks, she stares, but when she hears certain vibrational frequencies, she knows exactly what it is. So that's, you take a dog, he talk foreign language, and he'll still get that.
Yeah, he will.
Exactly.
We've heard
and it still obeys.
We've had a dog to talk to us and tell us and give us his last rites, and he didn't do anything but bark. He communicated.
Yes, he did. He communicated.
We knew what he was saying.
We knew what the bark said. Yeah.
Now let me let you in on something else.
And this was simultaneous. We both knew what he was saying.
There are light beings that you were with in the tabernacle that taught you these things before coming to earth. You are now recalling them through the mind of Christ.
Exactly.
Wow.
You have never, ever had such an opportunity to do things in earth that you did on Krypton. That's the place where Superman came from.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you came here, supposedly seeming like you came from somewhere. Every one of us came in the under the illusion that we came from somewhere, and yet we have always been here.
Yeah.
Boy, what a day it is! I was in the store.
Now,
Let me tell you this right quick.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I was getting out of the Jeep, and there was a man and his wife and a little girl yesterday. Got out when I did. And the little girl had just turned 5. Little tiny thing. I stopped and I looked at her. I asked her what was her name. She told me. And I said, "How old are you?" She said, "I just turned 5." Here's one of the most amazing things she said to me, just out of the blue. She said, "You can come and see me." She did. I don't want to. I know she lives in Asheville. I know Asheville down somewhere up there.
Asheville?
No, not Asheville, but there's she told me.
Okay.
And I am aware that I will not see these people again in the physical. But she captivated my heart. And I knew right then that I was talking to Christ in that little girl.
There's that 5-year-old.
And so I said to her, I said, "What do you like? You like chocolate chip cookies?" She said, "Well, I don't know," something like that. And she said, "I like brown ice cream." I looked at her mom and daddy. Brown ice cream. I said, "You mean chocolate ice cream?" Yeah. So I gave her some money. And I said, "Now look, I'm on my way into the store to the cookie section myself." And I said, "How much do I need to give your daughter to buy her some cookies?" So they went in and I talked to them a little bit and I left them. I wanted to go back and talk to them again, but I knew that if I did, I would be captivated by her little girlness. Yep, little girlness. And I told them and the little girl, I said, "I went to a place over there where little people like you come from, where we all came from." You see, let me share this with you right quick. If you have had some of the things that happened to you, which you did, and you can pull them up if you want to, you will never have to ever read another book because you have identified with some of the most amazing, creative evolutions of many lifetimes that you really don't have much reading to do except for your script. If you read everything, I mean, I'm hearing my ancient self revealed to me what was done in the Ancient of Days under the Melchizedek order. I can order anything because it doesn't have to come from anywhere. Okay, I'm through.
He said he's through.
That was
All
good.
right, you can order anything because it doesn't have to come from anywhere.
That's
Wow.
Exactly.
Type that in, guys. Type that in. Let's type that in. I can order anything because it doesn't have to come from anywhere.
That's right.
Yeah, type that in, you guys. If you're still here, type it in. Type it in.
Jesus is so, he is so the love that I've heard it said, and I can not find words to describe, that when he wraps his arms around you, you'll have to go limp in his arms. Because the love that he is absolutely staggering.
Oliver said that's good dessert. Yes, it is, Ollie. That's good dessert, man. That's good dessert. And we are 11 minutes over time, but we really have enjoyed talking to you guys and you guys and tuning into our conversation today. Vincent said he typed it in. I can order anything because it doesn't have to come from anywhere. Yeah. Yes, I like that.
Okay.
Linda, thank you for today's impromptu. It's been very helpful to me, more than you know. I love you so much. We love you too, Linda. Love you too,
Yes.
my friend. And we'll be back. I'm gonna tune into I think Pastor Norman's live on Friday. And I'm
At 10.
I'm torn because I know Oliver and Yolanda have a live on Friday as well. So wow.
What time of day?
It's 7. What time's yours?
Oh, mine is not till 10.
Oh, cool. I can
Yeah,
get
we're not
I
till
need both
10.
of them then.
And the only reason why is because, like I said, we were planning on having the normal New Year's Eve service where everybody will come and so forth. And so normally it's always at 10 o'clock. But because again of the Omicron virus, which is spreading rapidly here in our area, like other areas,
Actually, it's all states. Yeah,
Yep.
actually, it's in all states. The whole map was read yesterday. We saw it on the news. Yeah.
Yeah. So we want everyone to please be safe and so forth.
Yeah,
So
please
we're
do.
going to do it virtually. And so we keep it the same time at 10. It probably no longer than about an hour. They're going to hear some good singing because his praise team is going to do a mini concert and so forth. And then we'll say
10 o'clock. I can't wait. And it's on your page.
It's going to be on Norman Armstrong Facebook page. And I'm sorry I don't have the information concerning their social media platforms, but it's going to be on theirs as well.
Okay, at 10 o'clock p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I put that up there so everybody can tune into you guys.
Don't forget to put Norman Armstrong Ministries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I have Norman Armstrong, which is my personal page, and then Ministries is actually the page that actually is Norman Armstrong Ministries Facebook page.
Okay, I'm typing it in. There we go. Okay. There we go. Norman Armstrong Ministries Facebook page. All right. We're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to seeing you guys on that night and then again on Sunday morning at 10 because we'll be back for the first Sunday of the year.
Yes.
First Sunday of the year, 2022.
Yes. It's going to be an amazing time.
So be safe and remember to adapt and pivot and know that the universe is there to make your good come to you and that nothing is being withheld from you. And we're expecting to hear good testimonies. Good testimonies. Vincent said, I'm so ready.
I love it.
All right, Vincent, we love you, man. We love you guys. Love you, Buzz. Love you, Vernon and Renee, and all you guys, and Linda and Alicia and Connie. And oh man, we're just so glad you guys tuned in to us today.
Happy
Oliver, we
New
love
Year.
you guys. And we're so glad that you're here. Majori, I'm glad you were here, sweetheart. And Connie, thank you so much. We're gonna tune off. See you later.
Happy New Year's.